On this small video, I'm going to explain to you in a few minutes how to draw a trend line and how to validate it. As you all know, we have a very strict rule as to how to draw a trend line. We need two obvious valleys and two obvious peaks in order to connect a trend line. As you can see here on this $Swissy daily chart, we will use it as an example. We've got several valleys and peaks. So you need to look at it and look at the obvious valleys and peaks. Right now we are in a downtrend because demand is being violated, as you can see here, and supply is being respected. So if we start by this obvious peak, because this is a peak over here, this is another obvious peak, this is another obvious peak, and this is another obvious peak. Okay, nothing else over here. 1 and 2, 3, this one as well. Okay, so like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 peaks. You need to look at those. So if you have this peak over here, you could take the trend line, and as price is moving forward, you could do something like this. This is not a valid peak. Okay, this one is not, because look at the formation. It's not good. It looks like a CP pattern of supply. So this one is obvious, a rally, a base, and a drop. This is like the rally, the base, and the drop is all on the same area, so this is not a valid one. So as price drops over here and removes demand, we are allowed to sell. And here we did have an area of supply, another area of supply that worked. You can see supply, worked. And now, when you have this valid valley, you are allowed to do this. You are connecting this peak with this other peak. So when you do have that, then you have this level over here. So what happens? Now the trend has been broken, as you can see. You no longer are allowed to sell. Okay, as you can see over here. The thing here is that you would be allowed to sell because at the moment when the price hit the level, let me show you, we did not have a full candle close above like this one. So this was the entry. Okay, but you need also to take a look at this. Demand is in control over here. Okay, since demand is in control on the daily, we are not allowed to sell up here. Okay, because demand is in control. This is diddle in the middle, and the trend line is being broken, so this is not higher probability. Okay, but that's another matter. So the thing is that we would not be allowed to sell there, but this is the valid peak. So now that we do have this trend line broken, we are no longer able to do that. So that trend line is no longer valid. We need to wait for another peak like this and breaking lower. So in order to draw the trend line again, we need that the lows that have been printed by this imbalance and this drop, which is here, needs to be removed in order to validate another valid peak over here. So now that price did that, we do have this trend line. Okay, so we would be allowed to sell over here on this one, okay, and on this one potentially. Okay, right there, potentially. So the thing is this. Let me remove this. Okay, let me do this. Telephone. Let me disconnect the automatic zones. It will be better. Okay. So this is a valid trend line over here, but then once we do have this valid valley, what do we do with this trend line? This trend line is no longer valid, okay, because now we do have this peak and this second peak. You see? Right here. Okay? So now the trend line is broken. Price reached this area of supply on the daily and then worked. Okay, but we need to know if this is a monthly or not, but we're not going to enter into that matter now. Okay, I just want to show you how to draw the trend lines. So now that this trend line has been solidly broken, does not mean that we are allowed to buy here. Okay, we need to assess the trend, and the trend on the monthly is down. Okay, so now this trend line is solidly broken. We don't want that trend line painted on the charts. Now we do have this one as well. So we connect this peak with the previous valid peak, which is a higher peak. I mean, it is not a valid peak because it's lower than this one. So we connect this one with this one, and that's the trend. You can even draw a longer term trend line like this, which is very similar, okay, to this one. So these would be the two options. Okay. So now that we do have this trend line, then we are allowed to sell on the areas of supply which fall underneath them. Okay, like this one, for example. This is a daily zone over there. So this area is allowed for a short. Okay, because the trend line is down. So this is the way when we draw the trend lines. An example on the daily. So you need to take into account always the latest two peaks when we are talking about this descending trend line. So something like this, then it will be this, then we would have this one, okay, and then we would have this one and or this one. Since CP pattern is not part of a trend line, this is a valid short. Okay, thanks a lot.